The following is a presentation of Team Glory Sports.
It's 9:05 at 97.5 Glory FM, and welcome once again to the Saturday Morning Sports Show. And hi, everyone. I'm Mike Wofford. Welcome to 97.5 Glory FM, live at the Sports Center on this Saturday morning. You're tuned in to 97.5 Glory FM. Also, we're streaming online on the TuneIn Radio app, Simple Radio app, and the Radio Garden app. At Home Ramos and Echo, just say play 97.5 Glory FM. You can always go to our website. We encourage you to go to WGTJradio.com and click on the Listen Live link to hear us on the radio and online. You also can see the work behind the scenes here on our YouTube channel at Team Glory Sports on YouTube. Go to YouTube at Team Glory Sports. You get a chance to see the work behind the scenes here at the Sports Center, 97.5 Glory FM. Well, yesterday in high school baseball action around the area, there were some big games yesterday. First off, in Region 6 AAA play, it was North Hall winning over White County by a final score of 15-5. In that one, the Trojans scored 8 runs in the second inning. They end up scoring 5 more runs. And I think it was the 4th inning of play yesterday, going for about 5 runs. They scored 5 runs on no hits in that inning. Ended up winning by a final score of 15-5. Hopefully, you get a chance to talk with Trevor Flo, the head baseball coach at North Hall, a few moments here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Also, that same region, it was Pickens defeating Lumpkin County yesterday, 5-3. So the Dragons win 2-3 against the Indians. North Hall wins 2-3 against White County. And right now, it's Dawson County and North Hall tied atop the 8-team region there in Region 6 AAA. In Region 8 AAA play yesterday, it was doubleheader day, as it was Cherokee Bluff winning both games in 5 innings, both against East Hall yesterday down at the Bluff. Also yesterday, it was Oconee County and Jefferson splitting their doubleheader, big one there for the Warriors and for the Dragons. And also yesterday, it was West Hall falling to Monroe area. I think they split yesterday with the Spartans coming back and winning Game 2 of that series against Madison, against the team from Monroe area, winning 2-3 against the Purple Hurricanes. You heard them win back on Tuesday, so they won 2-3 against Monroe area this weekend. Big for them. They're right now ahead of Monroe. They're in number 4 spot. They're the 4th position there in Region 8 AAA. Other games around the area yesterday, let's see, it was East Forsyth. They won their games yesterday in their region in 8 Quad A. It was Fly Branch winning. In fact, they split yesterday. Yeah, they won both games, in fact. They won both games big against Madison County yesterday. Look at my scoreboard, and it was Fly Branch winning their games against Madison County. We'll have these games, all the scores posted later on today here on our website at WGTJradio.com. To catch my breath, a lot going on this morning. Other games around the area. Lanier defeats Gainesville yesterday. It was Baines County winning 2 against a school you never have heard before, except right here. It was called BASA, B-A-S-A. That's Barrow Academy of Arts and Sciences. The Barrow Arts and Science Academy. That's the new school down in Barrow County, in Winder, and Bethlehem. They won those doubleheader games yesterday. Also, it was Rabun County splitting their doubleheader with Commerce yesterday. Check one more time, Mike. In fact, I think Rabun County won both those games, in fact, over Commerce yesterday. And also, West Forsyth completes a 3-game sweep over North Forsyth yesterday in high school baseball action. Well, of course, March Madness is here. A lot going on. A lot of the SEC and ACT teams have been eliminated. I'm sure your bracket is busted like everybody else's is, getting ready for the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship in just a couple of weeks from now. A lot going on when it comes to college basketball. This morning on the show, we're going to talk high school baseball. We're going to talk high school football, as Josh Niblett, the head football coach at Gainesville, is going to join us to talk about spring football, because we got that underway right now on the high school and the college scene. We're going to talk NFL football with Harper LaBelle. Also, we'll talk hopefully with our co-host of Hooked on Lanier, who's on the air this morning, Brandon Whiteside, joining Harper LaBelle. We'll talk a little Georgia State baseball also, because coming up next Saturday, we start our coverage of college baseball here on 97.5 Glory FM with Dave Cohen. So a lot to go here on the Saturday morning sports show here on 97.5 Glory FM. I'm back after this timeout.
Your home is part of you, and keeping it comfortable and well-maintained is essential. Conditioned Air Systems is North Georgia's solution for residential heating, air, and plumbing services. For more than 40 years, our family has been committed to delivering the highest quality service by our certified technicians and plumbers. Experience the difference today when you choose Conditioned Air Systems for your home's heating, air, and plumbing needs. Quality you can feel, service you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Buford, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/blackandblue.
It's springtime, but it's also allergy time. The pollen is so bad you can't stand it. Your eyes are scratchy, your nose is stuffy, and you can hardly breathe. Well, the pharmacists at Riverside Pharmacy can help with all of your allergy needs. They can fill your prescription with expert care and even deliver it to you in the Gainesville area. That's Riverside Pharmacy, across the street from City Park, serving Gainesville for over 60 years.
And back on the Saturday morning sports show on 97.5 Glory FM. Let's go to the phones now and talk to our first guest this morning on the show, and that is Coach Josh Niblett, the head football coach at Gainesville. Hey, Coach.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm blessed, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed. I couldn't wait to get on with you this morning, man. I've been looking forward to this since you and I talked at Longstreet.
So tell me about what's going on with football this spring.
Well, just, kind of your little bit of your norm, just, off-season workouts and, trying to understand what your roster looks like and, trying to build your mindset for this group coming up. And, owning where you were, owning where you are, and trying to earn the right to where you want to go and what you want to become. And so I'm really, really excited about this group. We've had a really, really good off-season. I like the way this group has come in. They're a desperate group. They want to be really good. And, when you're that way, and we got a lot of guys in that locker room that want to be leaders, and when you have that and players start leading, your program and leading drills and leading the effort, leading the energy, I think that's critical. And so, we've been seeing a lot of that. We've gotten bigger and stronger. We'll look different next year because we'll be bigger, faster, and stronger. So I'm excited about that too.
We're talking to Coach Josh Niblett, the head football coach at Gainesville High, and people say, well, why are you talking football here in March? Because it almost goes year-round. And tell everybody about the importance of spring football.
Yeah, it does. And, first of all, if it starts, in January, and, back in the day, when I was playing and even before I was playing in the 90s and the 80s, everybody was kind of on an even playing field, so pretty much, everybody kind of trained about the same time and about the same amount. And everybody had guys that played 3 sports, and, you had your program. You did probably spring ball in February, and half spring ball would get canceled because your weather was terrible. So you didn't have to worry about anybody kind of getting an upper hand on you. And but now it's just different. Everybody's trying to find an edge, and everybody's trying to find a way to create an advantage for themselves. And we're fortunate. We're blessed, man. Our human performance director, Nate Mathis, who does an unbelievable job with our kids in the weight room and getting our data and understanding, where we are and our deficiencies, our strengths, and how we're going to fix them. Our staff's done a really good job of supporting that cause all off season. And so now we'll start, as a staff, trying to figure out what install is going to look like in the spring. And then, on April the 29th, we'll hit the practice field. We'll get 10 days out of 13 straight school days, and we're going to end up going to Georgia State and playing a half against Thomas County Central and play a half against North Gwinnett. So, we're looking forward to that, and I know our kids are.
What day is that going to be, Josh?
That is going to be, I want to say it's the 15th, May 15th,
there you go,
which is on a Thursday.
Okay. All right, mark that
Yep.
down. That should be a lot of fun from that standpoint. So you mentioned about your weight room. Tell everybody about the importance, because I got a great doctor friend who talks about you should have a doctor examine your players and see how their body type is, about really what position they should be playing.
Yeah, well, we do a really good job of having, number one, as soon as the season's over with, our staff has our exit interviews with our players and, just kind of looking like, hey, especially with your young guys who are developmental guys or guys that'll be coming back, trying to project them, hey, this is where you're weighing at the end of the year. Next year we get to this time, this is where we need to be. We start spring, we'd like you to be here. We'd like your numbers, to look like this. So we give them goals and, we try to teach them the why behind it. Not just say, hey, look, we need you at this weight or we need you at this speed or this strength. We need them to know why. And once they understand the why, then, they're kind of responsible for their own self-determination. So they'll go try to tackle it every day because they want it. And I think that's the key. I mean, like I said, Nate does a really, really good job with our players, has a great relationship with them. And then, I'm a weight room guy, and, I love strength conditioning. I love coaching in the weight room. I still do a lot with Nate because I enjoy being around him and listening to him and picking his brain and knowing just kind of from a program standpoint, how we want to try to evolve because, I say back in the day, but, everything used to be about, and I'm sure a lot of people out there that are listening to this can remember Nebraska back in the day. They were just bigger, and they were just stronger than everybody. And then, some people caught on to it, and they started getting bigger and stronger. And then the game changed, probably early to mid-2000 when, Coach Saban was at Alabama. That's when I really remember it kind of changing, that the game was still a little bit about power, then it became more about explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you started getting into the 2015, 16, 17, 18, kind of when Alabama, just because I always keep up with them, had to kind of change their game a little bit. And it became about speed now, right? I mean, everybody's just, they're bigger, but they're faster. I went and watched Georgia practice 2 days ago, and, just watching those guys, how big guys are now, and how well they run. And, that's the things that we're trying to build in our program. Now, when you're doing it with 14 to 18-year-olds, their body development, they're on their own time clock, right? And so, those guys that are 22, 23, they're starting to hit their peak level of, of where they need to be physically. Our guys are still developing. They're still going through puberty. They're still, going through the growth plates, and growth plates are not closed yet. And so we want to make sure that we're doing a really good job of making sure fundamentally our kids understand what we're doing. Locomotor skills don't go without, whether it's linear speed, change directions, transitional speed. We're in the weight room, it's a lot of plyometrics. But I'm excited about where our kids are right now and where we'll be once we get to spring. And then in the summer, we'll try to take it to another level, Mike.
You mentioned about speed, Coach. We mentioned how things have even changed during COVID with how people approach things. And now you get guys, 250 to 300 pounds that are running as fast as we used to see running backs in the past run.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy now.
Yes, it is.
And I mean, and we've got a couple of guys that are over 300 that run extremely well. And I mean, it's amazing to watch those guys move. I mean, it is. And like you said, the game has become a little bit more of a speed of the game. And to be honest with you, I mean, the weight room used to always be about numbers. It was about how much you could lift. It wasn't about how fast you could lift it. And now it's about how fast you can move the weight, right? It's about, hey, if if I've got 75% of my bench, squat, or whatever max on the bar, then we're going to measure how fast you move it. So these different phases that we have are the zones that we want our kids to be in. So it's a time mechanism, and so when it measures it, if the kid's not hitting the time mechanism either too fast or too slow, then we adjust the weight, because that's the only way we're going to get them stronger and get their body adjusted. And then, because everything we do, we're a velocity-based training program, so I mean it's all about moving the speed of the bar. It's all about speed. And like I said before, our kids have done a great job of trusting in what we need them to do. Matter of fact, this past Thursday was probably one of our best speed days we've had since I've been here. So I'm excited about that.
Again, talking with Coach Josh Niblett, the head football coach at Gainesville. Another season for Big Reds coming up. So we mentioned about training, Josh, everything else. How important is cardio now when you look at speed and velocity for these guys?
Yeah. You know, the thing is, Mike, you don't do a lot of, hey, let's go out and run 2 miles, you know. I think for us to get their lung capacity up and to get their heart rate up, I think early on, you know, it's a little bit more intermediate conditioning, a little more intermediate speed. You know, like if you go out and you start running track, I mean, you know, you're going to work your track mechanics and things that you do for speed, but you're also going to run more intermediate stuff, like some more 200s and 400s for getting your cardio up, to get your heart rate up, get your lung capacity up, and then once you start specifying into what event you run, that's what you do. It's kind of like what we do. I mean, we January and February, we want to get as big and strong as we can. We don't run a whole lot. But also at the same time, you got to train in the zone that you're going to play in. So for us, if it's not transferable to the field, then we're not going to do it. It does us no good to go out and run, you know, a mile 4 days a week and time it because we don't run at that speed. I mean, an average play is going to last 4 to 6 seconds.
Right.
The longest any guy would ever run, if he had to run full speed, is 100 yards. But most of the time, the average is usually around 10 to 15 yards of play. So we're trying to get our guys to be able to run that amount of distance as fast as possible with the least amount of rest and be able to do it again and be able to do it again and be able to do it again over and over and over again. So, you know, we're not marathon runners, we're sprinters. And so, you know, that's the way we train our guys.
I think you're wearing me out, Josh. No doubt about it. Just thinking about it from that standpoint back in the day. So how about you? What kind of work do you do in the off season to get ready for the upcoming season? I know you've been doing some speaking, that kind of thing. I'm sure you've been going to do some classes. What's going on?
Well, I appreciate you asking that. You know, for me, I try to do a really good job with our staff because I want them to do the same thing. And, you know, we're going to spend time with our families too, man. We're not going to sit up in the office after school's over with and unless we got something to do. And, you know, I got a couple of guys like Dion Williams, our special teams coordinator, recruiting coordinator, wide receivers coach. He's the head coach for track. And Mike Malone, who's also on my staff, in our defensive backfield, helps coach track. And Coach Brownlee, who's our head futures coach. I mean, he's the middle school track coach, and Alex Valdez. So I got some other guys that help out. You know, Nate helps with baseball, you know, strength conditioning. So our guys' time schedules are a little bit different, right? Because we're not all on the same schedule. That's why we're a morning group. Because, you know, when we're in the morning, I can have all my guys there. And so what I've tried to do for me is once the season was over with, you know, like, look, man, we didn't end it like we wanted to. I mean, and everybody knows that. And, you know, we felt like we should have been playing well enough. And I have to examine, because it's my fault, right? I got to examine where did I go wrong? Where did I fail our kids? Where did I fail our program when getting prepared at the end of the year? You know, why were we not playing best? Yeah, we had some injuries, yeah, and we had some guys banged up. But at the same time, you know, I've got to do a really good job of putting us in a situation where we still have an opportunity. And we did. We couldn't finish it. And, you know, I felt like we could have got through the first round, but I'm not giving ifs and excuses that, you know, we would have had a chance to make it to the semifinals. I mean, we would have had a chance to maybe make it to the finals, but we didn't. And so when it was over, like, nobody hates it worse than I do, and nobody takes it more personal than I do. So, you know, I'm getting in my notebook. You know, I'm writing notes down. I'm reflecting. I'm looking myself in the mirror. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. I'm pointing my thumb at me, and I've got to figure out what I've got to do. All right, so when you do that, you got to look at all facets of the program. I mean, number one, in our program, we have 4 phases. The person, it's the student, it's the athlete, and the player. You got to examine and evaluate all those things, but I have to examine myself on those things first. And so January, February, March is a growth phase for us as a program, so we're going to do everything we can to grow as a person, grow as a student, grow as an athlete, grow as a football player. we don't care about the football players much through these first 3 months as we do the other 3. And so, I'm reading books. I'm visiting different people. I'm talking to different people. With our staff this year, we wrote our whole core values and why we exist for our program. We studied all that with our kids in January. If you met with our kids or you saw them in the city and you said, hey, tell me what your first core value is, every one of our kids and coaches can tell you. If you ask them what the second and third one is, they can tell you. If you ask them why do y'all exist in the football program, they'll tell you, which I think is highly important because we have to have an identity of who we are, not what we do. And I think our kids believe in that. And so I'm doing a book study right now with our program and with our staff in the mornings on Wednesday mornings. And then, our kids came to me and said they wanted to start a players-only Bible study. And so they're doing that. And, we just had some unbelievable growth in our program, and that's what it's about. I've traveled and spoke for Glacier Clinics in Chicago and Minnesota. I just got back from Colorado, visiting with Dion there in Colorado, watched him practice a little bit with some other Nike coaches. And, I went to Georgia's clinic you never know when you might pick something up, pick up a nugget. And this next week I'm going to probably visit University of South Florida and try to watch them practice. And then once we get to that point at the end of March now, I got to start locking in on what we're doing. And then how do we take that growth phase of all this information we've taken in and apply it to our program? And then once we do that, we'll see if it sticks through April, May, and June. And then in July, we got to figure out what direction we're going in. And so that just kind of tells you a little bit about what we do in our off season. And I'm trying to grow as a person, number one. I got to do a good job and a great job at home. I've got to be a great husband. I got to be a great father to my kids, even though they're grown up. And I can't forget that because who I am as a man is more important than what I do as a coach. And I want our players to understand that because who we are is going to naturally come out. I've never seen a person as many times, if you look at the law of averages, lose a job because of their skill level. They lose a job because of their behavior level. And how we act, what are we doing every day that's conducive to supporting who we want to be as a program is highly important to validate, where we want to go. And like I told you before, we got to own last year, and we own it in our program. We own it in our building. Every guy in that building owns what happened to us last year. But by gosh, by owning it, we're going to earn the right to fix it. And our guys want to do that. So that's kind of where we're at.
All right, we're talking to Coach Josh Niblett of Gainesville High. Wrapping things up this morning on the Saturday Morning Sports Show with him. We'll talk a lot getting ready for football this fall here on 97.5 Glory FM. Talk about for a moment, I know you got some guys who are going to be playing on the next level. How important is for the young guys seeing that you've got players going to the next level and what they can do? It may not be on the big stage of Division I, may be a D2, D3, JUCO, whatever. How important is them to make it to the next level?
Well, it's big. we want our kids. We want to add value to our players. We want to give our players an opportunity to go to the next level if they want to play at the next level. Some guys just, they just want to go to school. Some guys just want to get a job.
Sure.
But you got a lot of guys that want to go play ball. And it's not about wanting to play ball, not about wanting to play college ball, but it's about, hey, are you willing to do what it takes to go play college ball? And if you want to go play college ball, then it's not just about what level, right? It's about, hey, I got an opportunity to go play a great game. Mm-hmm. Like my son, Sky, he's at Shorter, and he loves Shorter, and he's playing there. And, and they've got a great program, and they're going to have a great year this year, and he's excited about it, and then, you got like Baxter's at Murray State. He's making the most of his opportunity and playing quarterback there. And then you got Nick Taylor, who's at Appalachian State, going to start at safety this year. You got Champ, who played for us the last 2 years at Clemson. You got, Gavin Hall, who went to Furman, and now Gavin's, he's starting at running back. And beyond, T-Lander, we got a lot of guys. Darius Cannon, who was at Kentucky. Now Darius is gone to Murray State, so him and Baxter have reconnected. But we got a lot of different guys. Darian Cheeks, just won a conference championship at Maryville College. And that's something that, nobody will ever be able to take away from him. So for us, when we first got here, that was a big part of what we're doing. This past year, we had 19 seniors. We'll have right around, I think, 13 that'll sign scholarships to go play college ball. And that's
big.
That's pretty awesome. And
Sure
that's a credit to our players. It's a credit to the parents, but it's a credit to Deion Williams, that handles our recruiting, our next level stuff, and our staff. And we're going to find ways to get them opportunities. But, yeah, I mean, it's always important for the kids. And plus, look, we have one thing. One of our core values, Mike, is me plus the G. What does that look like? Well, we don't say G plus me, because kids, it's not that they don't want to be team players, but all day long, they're with themselves more than they are with anybody else, right? So
Yes.
it's all about me, like trying to, what have I got to do to get better? And so we say me plus the G, which means you can be as selfish as you want to be as an individual and get yours. I want you to be. But you got to be equally as selfish and competitive to be a great teammate. And that's kind of what we ask our kids to do. And we're going to help them every way we can if they want to go play at the next level. But we've been very fortunate to have a lot of guys go play at the next level, and we got a lot more that are about to go.
You get a chance to see any spring games besides your guys going like see a G-Day game or Alabama's? Because a lot of these guys aren't going to have spring games. It seems like this year.
Yeah, well, I used to go watch Alabama and go watch them practice a lot, but that was when I lived 45 minutes away from them, right? So now I'm about now I'm about 4.5 hours. So it's not as easy to hop in the car and go. I mean, me and Kirby are good friends, and I know a lot of their staff. So when Kirby was in Alabama, so I probably spend more time talking with them and going to watch them practice, create a relationship with them, and I've enjoyed that. So, like I said, I went there the day before yesterday to watch them practice and be there for their chalk talk at their clinic. And, and I may ride over to kind of see what they got going on too, but I'll go watch Sky at Shorter, and, some of our staff might go watch some of the other guys that played here in their spring games. So, I mean, as much as I can, I'll try to get out and go be a part of different things, but also making sure at the same time we've got everything lined up for us to have an awesome spring here.
All right, brother. Well, have a good time. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon, okay?
Hey, I'm looking forward to the next call. You just let me know, brother.
All right,
But any way we could talk about Red Elephant football, I'm all in.
All right, brother. You got it. Appreciate it much. That is Josh Niblett, the head football
Brother,
coach.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you much, man. Be blessed. That is Josh Niblett, head football coach at Gainesville High's Big Red football is just around the corner. These spring games are coming up soon, and we'll tell you more about that and more on 97.5 Glory FM. We're back with more of the Saturday Morning Sports Show after this.
Protecting your family and outdoor space from mosquito problems is our priority. Hi, I'm Jennifer with King Green. Our comprehensive prevention services not only enhance your outdoor enjoyment, but also safeguard your loved ones from potential health risks, adding immeasurable value to your home and lifestyle. Visit us online at kinggreen.com for $25 off your first mosquito application. For a healthy, happy outdoor living space, visit kinggreen.com.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, thanks to Coach Josh Niblett joining us this morning here to talk about high school football on the spring level. And let's go now talk with Harper LaBelle, who joins us every Saturday morning at 6:05 with Hooked on the Ear, now here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Talk a little football, but hey there, Harper.
Well, good morning, Mike. We had a little bit of a loss, didn't we? And George Foreman passing away. Did you ever have a grill? Did you have a Foreman grill in your home?
Did not, but I saw enough commercials about it. I knew where to pick up one if I did, but I never did get one.
Yeah, I didn't have one either, but I know some friends that did, and they absolutely loved it. And I think George made more money off that endorsement than any time he was in the ring or any portion of his career. Unbelievable marketing, perfect place, perfect time, and worked very well for the young man, didn't it?
It proves that you need to have a backup plan. After sports, what you're going to do with your life, and he touched a lot more lives, I think, after the fact than he did when he was boxing.
Well, if you remember, I think his career, he only had 5 losses, but I think after the second or the third one, they kind of put him out to pasture after the Ali fight.
Yep.
And remember, he was a grumpy old man. He went to preaching and whatever, and he learned to smile, and everyone loved him after that.
Sure did.
And I think that helped not only sell some grills, but remember, in his mid-40s, he's fighting for a chance to get back in the ring and try to win a title. What an amazing career that man had. Now, granted, I don't know what his recollection was after getting hit in the noggin as many times as he has, but my goodness, amazing career he had.
Hey, do you remember him winning the Olympic gold medal championship there? He won the gold medal.
With that tiny little flag. It looked, it was too small to even fit on a postcard, but he waved it around back in those days. Well, think about all the champions, Mike, that our kids will never talk about because they never got to see them. But how important was boxing at least once or twice a year a big thing in the Wofford house?
Oh, goodness gracious. Go back to my early days when I'm a little bitty boy. I'm at Gainesville Mill with my dad watching on old Zenith black and white TV, and they had the old Gillette fights on Friday nights.
Friday night fights, yeah.
You should remember, that theme song still goes in your mind, from that standpoint. And then from that, you went to Howard Cosell, from boxing, the way it went. And it's always really, I guess, through the 70s or 80s, even when Leon Spinks and, even maybe a Mike Tyson, whatever. But before that, when it was really something special.
Yeah, a little dabble do you, right? And maybe Brill Cream and some of the other pretty much men-only products that were a part of the Friday night fights.
I mean, we're talking fights, too. When we're talking about, and you've seen, like UFC now, this is what it was back in the early, mid-'60s from that standpoint. It was just who was the fittest, the Floyd Patterson days to, then the Cassius Clay days before Muhammad Ali, and how it would excite somebody and say, okay, it really, if you were not a sports fan, the casual fan got into that kind of thing back then.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to go back to the 50s with you, Mike. Some of the champs, I went and looked this up a few minutes ago. So Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Jersey Joe Walcott, Archie Moore, Tommy the Hurricane Jackson, and then the end of that decade was Floyd Patterson. Floyd was a champion all the way up into probably, 62, 63, then Sonny Liston, some kid named Cassius Clay who changed his name to Muhammad Ali, and he ended up for the middle and latter part of the 60s just being the guy. Then you had Frazier, Ken Norton, Larry Holmes, Jimmy Young, Ron Lyle, John Tate, Ernie Shavers. And then internationally, I didn't like him because he was Cuban, but Teofilo Stevens was a fantastic champion at the Olympic level. What, he win about 6 or 7 different gold medals? That guy was amazing. No one could knock him out.
Yeah, that was the day. And you see that kind of sports, so we talk about all kinds of sports here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, that's the kind of thing you see, like how you talk about the battle of the fittest. And we talked, Coach Josh Niblett a little while ago about being bigger, faster, stronger from the standpoint. It's like, okay, it's almost really that way. And you see in your line of sports, the bigger, faster, stronger you are, the more successful you're going to be, usually.
Yeah, and then if you throw in a little bit of smarts in there, because Ali knew that he was smaller. He knew that he wasn't as powerful. He knew he was quick. He probably quicker than George Foreman, but his rope-a-dope in that 75 fight, everyone that loved Ali was probably going the first 4, 5 rounds, 6 rounds. What is he doing? Why is he? And he was just trying to outsmart George. I'm going to wear this guy out, and I'm going to hit him with 2 or 3 punches, and he's going to have his arms wailing all over the place, and the crowd goes crazy. And those are just memories that are etched in my mind. I'll never not be able to see that, right?
Well, you gave me some memories this morning, so I got those memories in my mind. and I can still see it back in the day. And it's like, okay, those are things that you can say you treasured memories, but at the same time, you can see all the different things you and I have talked about in the past that really mean a lot, and that's why sports is so important in people's lives.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And whether it's high school, and I love the way you honor the high school sports, especially locally, and then from a collegiate or even a pro level, there's great memories that you can have with family or friends, or even if it's just by yourself. And obviously, boxing has changed dramatically over the last 20 years to where nobody that I know can tell me who the heavyweight champ of the world is. But there are some smaller weight divisions where, I've heard of Conor McGregor and some of these other guys, but, most of them are going into the ultimate fight. So it's morphed really into a completely different discipline.
No doubt about that. And it's survival in a lot of ways. And we see these young guys, we talk about Josh Niblett and the high school guys going into the college level. And we'll start doing Georgia State baseball next Saturday, and then looking ahead to their spring game, looking ahead to the fall with Georgia and Georgia Tech and Georgia State. And then you see on the pro level with you in the NFL and the Atlanta Falcons, and things just keep changing. And Coach Niblett mentioned about how things have changed really in the last 5-10 years with football on all levels. You see it too when it comes not only to what's on the field, but also what's off the field now, and things just keep constantly changing.
Yeah, there's still a lot of debate on how that gets monitored, or who controls the authority over the rules. But obviously, the NFL level, hey, I want to make some money. Well, that trickles down into the college. And now the NIL has made it where it trickles down into the high school level. And I'm sure you hear it all the time. High school coaches talking about, how do I keep these kids happy? They want to make some money, and their name, image, and likeness, or their brand. They can do things that have nothing to do with football, where they make a bunch of money, or have the opportunity to, or whatever the sport is, Mike. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a completely different facet now because of social media, and there's really no rules in place. And in many respects, there probably shouldn't be. But do you play well on Friday night, and do you play well on Saturday afternoon, or do you play well on Sunday? That's the ultimate test, at least in my opinion, in spite of all the distractions that are going on outside of the sport.
Well, Harvey, you see a lot of times now, you see the young player who has a disadvantaged lifestyle, for example. Those who may have trouble, paying for their lunch at school. Go back with Deshaun Watson, for example. That he went to school early in the morning. Michael Perry, who's now the new football coach at Flyer Branch, was his quarterback coach at Gainesville High. He'd get him at school in the morning at 6 o'clock. They'd go into the office and he'd look at film, and he'd feed him breakfast at that standpoint, because he really didn't have the money to even buy his own breakfast. And now look where he is now, and it's like he gets the scholarship to Clemson, goes there, takes advantage of that education, and then gets the gazillion dollars playing for the Cleveland Browns. And it's like it's amazing. You see these guys, they'll see the fancy shoes. They'll see what you can do when you get an NIL deal or whatever. It's like, I want that just to better themselves in their lives.
Yeah, it's interesting that you put it that way. There's so many ways to examine just Deshaun's story. I covered all but 2 of his games when he was in high school, and you could just see that there was something different about him. So you have to figure, too, there's a lot of guys that don't make it on that roster, or guys that play against him that go, yeah, he was pretty good. I ended up not doing it. But you mentioned the one thing that did capture my attention. Early in the morning before school, he would go in and watch film. He would put the time in, whatever that is, whether you be in the weight room or on the track or in the batting cage. If you're at the free throw line, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of extra work that you have to put in, and some guys don't understand or realize it. And girls, I'm not trying to be gender specific here, but hard work, I've always said, pays off, and it certainly did for him. And he took a single mom environment, and he did the very best he could with it. But he eliminated a lot of distractions. That's the big thing, Mike. There's a lot of things that he could have done, and he said no. No, I'm going to work on this. And so that paid off for him 100-fold.
You're right there. We're talking for a moment. You got a son who plays travel ball right now, and you see what it takes from the work. How bad do these kids want it now? That's the big question. And Coach Niblett mentioned it. How hard do you want to make it to the next level. Yeah, not everybody's going to play college ball, name the sport. But, you got to put in a lot of work no matter what you do in life.
Yeah, there's a book called Outliers that I read about a year and a half ago, and I'm rereading it just to emphasize some of the great people in our society. I'm trying to remember his last name, not Bill Gates. There's another Bill Roy or whatever his name is. Someone will call you a hater to tell you. He put thousands of hours when he was at the University of Michigan into his computer sciences, and he went to they had one major building that had a computer in it back in the early 70s. And it turns out that he could write code in his sleep, and he starts Sun Microsystems. He wrote JavaScript. He wrote all of this other stuff, became a multimillionaire because he put the hours in. And he was up either all night or all day. And you mentioned the distractions and how bad do you want it. Mike, it's so easy to not want it because the social media or what your phone can offer that's more exciting than getting in the batting cage. And, yeah, I have to struggle with my son all the time. Let's go out there. Let's just put an hour in. Let's go hit for a little while or let's go field. It'll pay a dividend for you. But I'm not taking away the phone privilege, but I certainly have to prioritize it. And I think everybody needs to in their own discipline and being able to shut certain things out.
That's a great point. And no matter what the sport is, it could be a sport, whether it be you could be get yourself and others, like from golf to tennis to track to soccer to you're gonna play lacrosse to football, basketball, baseball that we follow here. No matter what it is, it could be an individual sport. You're part of a team, and you got to know what your role is going to be and how important it is for you to be successful.
Yeah, and have fun when you're throwing darts and playing pickleball, which oddly enough, a few years ago, we're just going to reduce the size of the tennis court. Now they're tournaments or e-games, Mike. The guys that can actually make money by playing a computer, whether it be Madden or Y2K or football or basketball, whatever. All these different games that are out there. It takes time. It takes discipline. It takes you got to put the hours in, and usually you got to be coachable to hey, I'm not as good as I need to be. I need someone, or I want someone to help me get better. That's another aspect of it. There's a certain humility in that you talk to any champion, they'll all say, I didn't do it all by myself. I needed help.
All right, so Harper Bell's our expert when it comes to the NFL. Tim, what's going on right now between the Combine and Draft Day, getting ready to build your stock and get a higher draft position?
Or if you're in the case of the Falcons, try to get another pick. Everyone in the conference has, or in the division, Tampa has 6 picks. New Orleans and Carolina have 9. Atlanta only has 5. First, second, fourth, and then 2 in the 7th. So the Falcons are in big trouble when it comes to trying to revamp their lineup. There's a lot of pro days that the players are still going through. Some have already experienced that aspect of it, and then it's just basically just sit and wait from a player's standpoint. Once you have that workout, continue to work out and be ready. Go buy yourself a suit so you look good, and get ready. Make sure you pay your phone bill, Mike, because the phone might be ringing there on draft day.
So do you get an agent now?
I think every one of them that as soon as they wanted to declare or as soon as their senior season was over have done that, yes.
Wow.
Yep. You need someone to help you do what you need to do, whether that be getting Chip Smith is a friend of mine. He has a camp that he has where he brings in a bunch of seniors or underclassmen that are declaring, and he gets them ready for the Combine. It's a 6-week, I'll call it a course. But you go in the swimming pool for a week. You work on your fast twitch muscle fiber. You just get ready for the Combine. That's it. So if you're going to do broad jump, high jump, bench press, 40, if that's all you want to do, you work on that for the additional 5 weeks. And if you get your 40 time down, if you get your bench press up, things like that you work on, it could mean you go from a 7th or a 6th rounder to a 2nd. And you literally, Chip helps make millionaires all the time. That's what he does.
Wow. How about that?
Big difference, yeah. And there's others that do it. He's not the only one, but I know he's here locally. His kids went to Buford. He's lived in Buford for years, and he's been an international guy. He helped the Chinese Olympic team years ago. Chip, why'd you do that? Why'd you go with the Chinese Olympic team? He goes, man, I bleed red, white, blue. but no one from America wanted me, and the Chinese did. They paid me handsomely to come out there and help them win during the Beijing Games. So his task and role in life is to help athletes get better, and that's certainly from January up until just a couple weeks ago, a high priority for football players.
All right, here's something for you, Harper. I know that you were in the days when we had the lockout and strike, however you want to call it from that standpoint, and you had players that may not have played on a regular basis in the NFL at that time. And I think about now with the XFL and not hearing much about it, or even the CFL. We got some players that went to Georgia State playing up there. How important is it for those guys to excel in maybe a league like that to get ready for the NFL, or if they can?
Yeah, part of the reason that the World Football League went into place, Mike, is so the league would have a few guys that had been playing at some sort of level. It was kind of like a farm system. Not the way college is farm system, but just a way to keep your eye and ear on maybe 400 or 500 guys that you could bring if there was a strike or a lockout in any way, shape, or form. The collective bargaining agreement and the amount of money is so good right now that I think the both sides are basking in a bath of champagne. Caviar is everywhere, and they're burning $100 bills to start the fire. The times are really good, Mike, and so there's not that same need. So the XFL, indoor leagues, everything else that's a part of it is just, well, we want to compete. We know people love the game, and would they like it outside of the normal fall schedule for high school, college, and pros?
Yeah, like I said, I want to be your friend. If you're going to burn $100 bills, I'm right here, okay? Just help a blind guy out from that standpoint,
Well, maybe someday we'll get $1,000 bills back again, and I don't think many of those will be built. But that's a U.S. Treasury Department issue. I know there's a specific reason why they do that, but it has nothing to do with athletics.
Well, I always say, Harper, I can live with your tip money, okay?
Well, there's no taxes on tips anymore, so that's one good thing in our direction, I would assume.
So, final thing for you. Give me one pick. Atlanta Falcons, first guy. Who'd you go with?
Well, by getting Leonard Floyd, I think that satisfied a defensive issue, but Johnson, the kid out of Michigan, if he's there, he's about 6'2". He runs a 4.3, 4.4, 40-ish, strong. Played at a school that, he's won a national championship, long arms. I think he would be a great fit on day one in your lineup. There's a couple other corners, but I think if that's the direction, you went up front last year with, 3 or 4 different linemen that you picked in the draft. Judon didn't work out. If he stays, that'll be nice, but then you get Floyd, you get Trice on the other side. That's kind of your edge temporarily, so I would go corner with my first rounder and kind of plug the secondary and give them some strength for years ahead.
All right, friend. Appreciate it much. We'll talk soon, okay?
Have a great day, Mike.
Yeah, you be blessed, man. Always enjoyed talking to our friend Harper LaBelle, who is the co-host, in fact, of Hooked on Lanier every Saturday morning. Make sure you join him. And you go to our YouTube channel at Team Glory Sports, and Hooked on Lanier is there. You get a chance to see again this morning's program with Harper and Brandon, and he was with us on Saturday mornings here on 97.5 Glory FM with the Saturday Morning Sports Show. We got much more for you. We'll wrap things up coming up next.
On-time service and experience matter for your home's heating and air system. For more than 40 years, Conditioned Air Systems has been North Georgia's solution for residential HVAC installation, maintenance, and repair. Family-owned and operated, we deliver the highest quality service on any brand and model with no hidden fees, promising 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Comfort you can feel, quality you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Buford, Bushton, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/blackandblue.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. It's been a good show this morning. Enjoyed talking with our guests this morning with Josh Niblett and Harper Abell about football. Let's talk a little baseball now with Dave Cole, the voice of Georgia State. Here, David.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Doing great, sir. Before I talk baseball, you been keeping up at all with what's going on in college basketball?
Well, I watched Troy and Kentucky last night, so the Sun Belt Conference college basketball season officially came to a close last night, minus Arkansas State in the NIT. They're the only team that is left. I think they've got North Texas this weekend in the Dallas area, but as far as the NCAA tournament goes, the Sun Belt got one team in. That was Troy. They won the Sun Belt tournament a few weeks ago, and they fell to the Kentucky Wildcats in Milwaukee last night. So there's only one team left standing. It's Arkansas State, and I believe they've got North Texas in the NIT. And when depending on how long they survive, that's how long the Sun Belt basketball season will survive.
And that's where your interest ends, right?
Pretty much. Yes. As I told you last week, I was glad North Carolina got knocked out. We've seen SEC teams who maybe should or should not have been in the tournament field with losing conference records fall by the wayside. Georgia's done. Vanderbilt's done.
Texas.
What's that?
Texas
is done. Yeah. So they got 12 teams in or 14 teams in, whatever it was.
Yep.
And,
14.
A number of teams who should have gotten in. The woulda, coulda, shouldas did not get in. Because the SEC had to get most of their league into the NCAA tournament. So from that standpoint, really once Troy is out, my interest kind of falls off at this point.
But we got baseball next Saturday right here on 97.5 Glory FM, our first spring game with you with baseball with State, not Southern, next Saturday. But talk about what's going on right now. Because Brad Stromdahl and his team off to a great start playing up in Norfolk, Virginia this weekend.
Well, they did drop the opening game of that series yesterday, 12-4, which was not good news. But right now they are in a two-way tie for third place with Appalachian State. Georgia State 15-8 overall, 3-1 in league play. Appalachian State is 11-10 and 3-1, and they are trailing Southern Miss. Well, Southern Miss, I should say, is 3-1 also at 16-6. So there's a three-way tie for second place behind Coastal Carolina, and they're 18-5 and 5-0. So, hopefully Georgia State can bounce back today, take game 2, and then win the series on Sunday. This is their first conference road series. They had a great opening weekend by sweeping South Alabama here in Atlanta last week. And, interestingly enough, as I look at the standings, South Alabama has a historically strong Sun Belt baseball program. They're 10-11, and they are 0-4. They are dead last right now in the Sun Belt standings.
But you can tell how difficult it is to win the
swept
road.
Here and then losing the opening game of their series with Louisiana on Friday night. But, right now a three-way tie for second with Georgia State, Southern Miss, and Appalachian State.
But, Dave, you see how difficult it is to win on the road in the Sun Belt.
It is, and to be honest with you, Mike, and I think you and I have talked about this before, but when you look at the overall league and where resources are placed and, what certain schools emphasize, obviously football drives everything nowadays in college athletics. Decisions on conference affiliation, so on and so forth, are all driven by football-made decisions. But you could argue in the Sun Belt that after football, that it's a baseball league. It's a really historically strong baseball conference.
Yep.
And,
Can you say coastal?
Can
you say coastal,
Yeah, Coastal Carolina. Remember when they were in the Big South Conference, they won the national championship. That was the year before they changed conference affiliations and moved from the Big South to the Sun Belt. I mean, just think of that. A Big South Conference school won the college baseball World Series. I mean, that's just a once-in-a-lifetime type event that happens in college athletics now. But that's how strong their baseball program is. I mean, It's just what they have always really placed a lot of emphasis and importance on. They've got a beautiful, beautiful facility over there, one of the nicest, if not the nicest, in the Sun Belt in college baseball, probably tied with the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana. But that's just the history of the Sun Belt. I mean, last year the Sun Belt got 4 teams in the NCAA tournament for baseball. 2 years ago they got 4 teams in, whereas historically it's a one-bid league in basketball.
Yep. All right, but so next Saturday it is Georgia Southern, Georgia State, right here on 97.5 Glory FM. Dave will have the play-by-play call. That's the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.5 Glory FM.
97.5 Glory FM.